So Talia, the last segment that we just saw, I said, well, we'll probably talk about the book later. It's later, much later, so we need to talk about the book. So tell me about your book now.
I will tell you about my book. It's called Alexia Wants to Fly, and it's been lucky enough to win a couple of awards. And it has a great illustrator, YTN, who did all of this in original watercolors. And it's basically the story of my middle child, my daughter Alexia, who always thought human beings should be able to fly. And so all through her childhood, she went to enormous efforts to be able to physically fly before she grew up and figured out that she might need an airplane around her to do it. But the reason I wrote the book is because when she was 4 years old, she asked me why birds could fly and she couldn't. And we got to the fact that birds had hollow bones. And so unbeknownst to me, she's saving all her money to get an operation to have her bones hollowed out. Not realizing that if that was really a thing, Canadian Medicare would pay for it because we did live in Canada. And we were fully covered for everything and nobody was going to hollow out her bones. But at 9, she found out in school that that was probably not a good idea, and she started spending her money like everybody else. And she decided on the circus, and for a while the circus dream was alive, and she was an excellent little gymnast, but then she grew so much that her muscles didn't keep up with her bones, and that's when she decided that maybe she would learn to fly an airplane. And now she's actually a helicopter pilot. She flies search and rescue for the Canadian military, and she is a major, and she's the CEO of her search and rescue unit, and she does fly these pretty yellow and red helicopters. So this is her story. So it's kind of a can-do girl power story, among other things, and I was very pleased to write it for her.
And I think it's the illustrator, there have been some awards given the book also, right?
Absolutely, yes, here it is. I was a finalist in the New Mexico Book of the Year. And I got first place for the illustrations in Manitoba just before I moved here, and that was a Manitoba Book Award. So those are the only 2 times I've entered it in anything, and it came away with a sticker, so that was kind of nice. And I am absolutely thrilled with the illustrations, so I'm glad they recognize that.
Well, you haven't seen a little first part that I put on with Connie where I talked about the first time I met you at one of the luncheons. And I hated you because you had a children's book, which would be in competition with mine. And then I loved the book, and I loved you. So, but I do, and as you know, I've gotten many copies of it. But please, where can someone get a copy of the book? Because it's really a wonderful book.
Oh, thank you, Pat. As is yours, but I really do appreciate what you're saying. This is available locally in Santa Fe at Indigo Baby. Now, they also have copies at the other bookstore in Devargo Mall, cleverly hidden away on the bottom shelf somewhere.
Opposite.
I gave copies to 2 years ago, and I'm sure they've never sold one. But Indigo Baby does sell them, and they're prominently displayed and easy to find, and that's locally. And as soon as I get my act together, it's going to be on Amazon. Right now, I've got a publishing label that I did it under called Lily Star Press. And Lily Star Press does have a website, but honestly, people don't generally go there. So it's going to be on Amazon. I'm going to say, I'll make the promise here, it's going to be on Amazon by September of 2018. Very soon.
I'll check with you on that to make sure you do that, Tom.
Keep me honest. I'm giving it a date because it's been on my list for at least a year and a half to do. So it needs to be on Amazon.
Well, when people watch all the other parts of this interview, which is many on you, they'll begin to understand why maybe you haven't gotten around to it yet. Golly gee.
Yeah, it's one of the things I haven't gotten around to.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's a physical copy. I didn't do it as an ebook. So I have to physically get the copies to them. That's been the holdup.
Yeah. But that's a good thing because a lot of the research says that the ebooks for kids are not, in fact, good.
It's not a good idea.
Well, they're discovering things that happen with the brain and everything else. So that was a good decision.
Book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and if anybody wants to rush immediately and get it, and they don't live in Santa Fe, you can go on my website and I'll make the connection to Talia for you.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We'll move on to another segment here shortly.
Thank you.